Hello, I'm Claire Smith and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to try out some Mancera fragrances, and I've been trying these for a couple of weeks now, and I just want to let you know what I think of them. So this is just going to be a bit of a first impressions because I've only worn these maybe 2 or 3 times each. It's not really a very detailed way of testing fragrances, basically, is what I'm saying. That's my get out clause anyway. So I have got some samples here that Anita has sent me. So Anita, she's known as Unisex on YouTube. Please go check out her channel. She is so good at comparison videos. If you want to know the differences between 2 fragrances and you don't know which one to buy, she's probably bought both of them and she can tell you in intimate detail the differences between those fragrances. And she always gives great advice. She's a really good person to talk to. Please go check her out. So she sent me some Mancera samples and I'm going to just talk you through them. So she sent me Fig Extasy. Not that you can see what these are on the packaging, but I'm just going to hold them up anyway. She also sent me Deep Forest, and she also sent me Midnight Gold and Gold Intensitive Oud. So I'm just going to talk through these 4 fragrances and tell you what I think of them in case you are thinking of buying these. So I was most excited by the fig one because I love fig in fragrances. It's one of my favourite notes, and Fig Extasy was the one that really made me want to try it. So let's just refresh my memory. So I'd say this fragrance is more of a green fig leaf than a fig fruit kind of fragrance. It's got that sort of slightly spiced feeling about it, and I know there's ginger in this fragrance as well, but I don't think I'd have picked up on the ginger because I'd have just thought it was the fig leaf. It also smells a little bit woody in the far dry down, and it also turns a bit leathery almost. I actually have really enjoyed this. I know it's not a super feminine fragrance, I'd say, this one. I'd say this is definitely much more unisex smelling, perhaps even slightly masculine leaning to me. But I'd say that this fragrance smells a little bit herbal as well. So this fragrance really reminds me of Radox bath products. It really reminds me of one of the green ones I seem to remember. I absolutely love Radox bath products, so this one does it for me. But I would say it's definitely more of like a herbal, aromatic kind of fragrance. It's almost like something you'd smell at a spa. It's one of those kind of unisex hotel shampoo kind of fragrances. I'm sort of doing it a bit of an injustice here because I actually think it's nicer than I'm making out here, but yeah, it just smells like something from a spa, basically. A little bit herbal, a little bit woody. I'd say out of these 4, this one lasts quite long, and I do like it, but I wouldn't buy it. I just don't think it's not something that I would pick up on a regular basis, so it's not something that I would buy. But I did really enjoy trying this, and I think this fragrance came out only this year, so it is really, really new. So it's called Fig Extasy by Mancera. So the second one is called Deep Forest, and this one came out in 2019, I think. So let me just refresh my memory on this one. Right, so this one is weird. This one is really hard to explain, okay? So just let me off the hook here. So this one is definitely not linear. It definitely changes. I get different things from it every time I try it. The first time I tried this, all I smelt was cloves. I hate cloves, so that's probably why that's all I smelt. But after the first try, I got over that and I could smell other things. So to me, this is really quite sour citrus. It's quite a dull sour citrus in the beginning. It smells like almost a little bit sharp. I'd say it's not like an uplifting citrus. It's definitely like a dull citrus. It's almost like a really bitter orange marmalade kind of smell. But then over the top of that, there's also a heady floral of some kind, and also something that resembles like a dark chocolate, a dark cocoa-y chocolate. But then as it dries down further, it then begins smelling like a really thick, high quality leather. It smells like, you know, a new leather satchel or a new leather pair of really high quality, really thick leather shoes. It's also a little bit farmy. It smells, it reminds me a little bit of cows. I know this is like a totally weird kind of description of a fragrance, but this is honestly what you get from this. definitely, I think maybe it's the leather. Maybe that's what I'm getting with the cows. But yeah, it sort of, it transforms from like slightly cowy into that kind of high quality leather as it dries. It's weird, what can I say? I think that the floral note in this that is most distinctive in this is the violet. This at other points also smells a bit soapy. So it smells like a non-sweet version of the Lush store scent at points. But yeah, it definitely transforms during this fragrance, and I think that it's actually quite long lasting, and it's really quite strong as well. It's not one you need a lot of sprays of to smell. Really weird perfume, not a love for me, but it could be for someone else. I wouldn't buy it. I would really love to smell this on a man. I think this would smell really delicious on a man. I think that leather, that deep leather, and the sort of slight floral spiciness with the orange is really nice. So yeah, that's Deep Forest by Mancera. So the third one that I tried was Midnight Gold, and I'd say that this one was probably the one that I liked least because I felt like it was the least interesting. This one is sour citrus again, but there's also cedar here. And there's also a little bit of like a sweet rose in the background. And there's also oat moss, so it's like a fruity chypre perfume, basically. A citrus chypre with rose. It's a little bit warm, it's a little bit woody. It doesn't excite me, basically, is how I feel about this perfume. I just feel it's a bit dull. It's got a little bit of a suede note in the far dry down, but it's not enough to sort of pick it up, really. It doesn't last that long either. It's not that strong. I think this is probably not what most people are looking for when they're looking at Mancera perfumes. I think people who like Mancera perfumes generally like something a little bit nuclear. This is definitely not nuclear. I think this perfume reminds me of like a Lynx shower gel. It's just a little bit not quite there, isn't it? It's just a little bit dull, a little bit everyday. Yeah, this one really wasn't a love. So yeah, overall, I wouldn't buy this one. I normally like chypre perfumes. I normally like oak moss in perfumes, but this one didn't really excite me. So that's Midnight Gold by Mancera. So the final fragrance that I tried was called Gold Intensitive Oud. I didn't even know that intensitive was a word. So when you first spray this perfume, it smells like a really golden ambery ale. It smells like beer, basically. And then it's kind of lemony and rosy, but it's also a little bit fresh. It feels like there's like an ocean breeze behind this perfume. And the lemon and the rose bits of this perfume really reminded me of a perfume that I used to own. So it reminded me of how the lemon and the rose smells in Eau de Chloe by Chloe. I always describe that perfume as smelling like a rose lemonade, and it's not as sparkling as Eau de Chloe, but it's definitely got those two notes in a very similar format as Eau de Chloe. I think that this perfume later on changes into something that resembles Intense Cafe, but I think it's nicer than Intense Cafe. So Intense Cafe to me is a rose musk oud, and it's just so heavy on musk. It feels really kind of foggy and a little bit powdery. It's a bit cloying, it's a bit everywhere for me, Intense Cafe. This is cleaner. This is like rose, oud and musk, but with that freshness of the lemon and the freshness of the ocean breeze. It's just a really nice perfume, and I think, yeah, if you don't like oud, you're not going to like this because the oud is quite strong. I think the oud is one of the stronger notes. I think the oud, the lemon and the rose are the notes that stand out for me in this perfume. And there is a little bit of musk, but it's definitely not foggy feeling. So yeah, I like this one, but I wouldn't buy it. I don't think it's a love. I think it's just a like. But I can see someone really loving this. It's got a really interesting feeling to it. It's sort of fresh, but also oudy, and oud is not something that I associate with freshness. So yeah, it's a real juxtaposition of different notes that make this a really interesting perfume. So that's Gold Intensitive Oud by Mancera. So I'm going to do a bit of a ranking now. I'd say out of these, my favourite was definitely Fig Extasy, closely followed by Gold Intensitive Oud. Then I say I like Deep Forest just because it's a bit weird. And then finally, I would say Midnight Gold is the one that really didn't excite me. So please let me know if you've tried any of these perfumes, and please let me know what you think of them. And also, Please, if you've liked this video, please like this video. And also please consider subscribing because that really helps me out with my channel. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.